If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
We have Tristan Connelly on the show. He will make his UFC debut this Saturday at UFC Vancouver against Michel Pereira. Welcome to the UFC, Tristan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How does it all sound, welcome to the UFC? Is that like music to your ears?
It's music to my ears, but it sounds like it makes sense. I feel like I deserve to be here. I felt like I deserved to be here for a while. So, you know, it's awesome. It's exciting, but it's also expected, you know?
We found out late last week that Sergey Kondoshko was out of this fight, and immediately I jumped on social media, and left to right it was, man, the UFC should give this shot to Tristan Connelly. It's a hometown fight. He's on a tear right now. When did you initially, have the wheels spinning, so to speak, to try to get on this card?
Well, I mean, I fought it like just over a month ago, and I thought, Monday morning back in the gym. I had 2 cuts, didn't matter. I was in the gym, I was training, kept eating clean, haven't stopped. I finished the guy in the 5th round. I've been training for 5-round fights for the last 4 years. And I've just been waiting and trying to stay ready to cut to 55, honestly. And I get the call on Saturday that, hey, this guy's out. There's a chance it might be you. And I'm like, well, should I start eating a bit? Like, I'm waking up between 175 and 180. I'm like, should I eat a little bit more? And they're like, no, because you don't have it yet. So what happens if you don't get it and then something happens with the 55? Or if I start eating, I wouldn't be able to make 55 because I cut a lot of weight to 55. And so I'm like waiting, not eating. Saturday night, don't sleep that great. Sunday happens. Again, they're all getting back from Abu Dhabi, don't hear anything. And then, about midnight Sunday, my manager, Jason, called me. He's like, hey, I'm feeling really confident about this. Let's start getting paperwork done. So now I'm super excited because I'm filling out paperwork, so I feel like I have it. And then the next day, and I had to get up the next morning. I got up at 6 a.m. when I went to bed at 1 and I didn't sleep. And I rushed around to make sure that all my medicals are done. There's a few things that are just the UFC are a bit different than the athletic commission. And I just want to make sure everything's good. Finish it by 10 in the morning. And he's like, hey, good. That's everything done. Let's, we'll wait and see what they say. About noon, I hear they're going into a meeting. He's like, as soon as we're out, we should know. 2, 3, 4 hours, nothing. 5 hours, 8 o'clock at night, nothing. I teach a class at 7:30 at night. And so we're teaching the class, and 8:30, I get a call from Jason. And then, everyone knows I'm waiting for this call. So everyone's quiet. I pick up the phone, and he's like, hey, have you ever fought at 170 before? And I'm like, no, I fought at 180 once years ago. And he's like, all right. And he's like, okay, I'll call you back. And I'm like, fuck. Everyone's like, waiting. I'm like, no, not yet. I'm like, oh. So we're sitting there, class is over, and we're still sitting there waiting. Phone rings, get it. It's like, yeah, we got it. I'm just fucking so excited, running around, fucking screaming. Our gym's in a weight gym, and I ran around the weight area screaming, and everyone looked at me like I was crazy, but it's worth it.
Obviously, Jason House and your management team played a huge role in this, and a lot of times in these short notice situations, social media can also play a big role. I know when the UFC came to Boston last year, Matt Bissett got a shot at the UFC, and I mean, he certainly deserved a look, but he was coming off a tough performance on the Contender Series. But as soon as a fighter fell out, the social media world just came out of the woodwork for him to get that shot, and he did. How much do you think that played a factor here? And either way, what does that support mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all helped, right? I honestly think that the biggest thing, I mean, other than my record and the people I've been beating lately, that I finished everyone, I think Jason was the big thing that made a difference, right? When it came down to it, because they're really hesitant, because Michel's, he's big for welterweight, and what they were looking like, years ago, I tried fighting at 45 a couple times, and I killed myself. I was way smaller than him now, and I lost because I cut 20 pounds day of. I was just dying. I could barely warm up for the fights. And Michel's fought at heavyweight. So the UFCs they're like, hey, 45er versus a heavyweight. That's what they're thinking. It's not I'm sure he's, had some Mexican supplements in the past, and he's off those now. He's a lot smaller. He's still a big guy, but there's not that much of a gap. I'm a big lightweight now. I cut a lot of weight to lightweight. I walk around 185, 190. I rehydrated after my last fight at lightweight to 185. So I'm not that worried. I think, he'll be 10, 15 pounds bigger than me, but that's nothing crazy. And he's flashy, uses a lot of muscle. That muscle gets tired, and I'm a cardio machine. So, just stay safe for the first round. He gets tired, and he quits, and I'm going to make him quit.
Was the weight thing the biggest hurdle you think here? Was that part of the waiting game?
Absolutely. And Jason said, when it came down to it, and they're all, the fact that Jason had to do all that paperwork Sunday night, and I got everything done Monday morning. He even called because he knows all the guys in the UFC. He got shorts taken out. He said, "What kind of shorts do you want? What color shorts do you want?" He got the guys to take them out and get all my gear ready. And so, when they're really kind of at the last minute wondering, he's like, "Look, Sean, these other guys you're considering, do you have all their medicals, all their paperwork? Do you know everything's good? Everything's shored up?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "I got everything. His shorts are already taken up. Like, everything's right here." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, well, get them." So I really think that if it wasn't for Jason and Iridium, I very likely would have gone to one of the bigger guys.
And you get Pereira, who's a very flashy guy, a lot of viral moments in his fights, a lot of pizzazz, so to speak. But also there's sort of a method to his madness in this strange way. He had that big debut earlier in the year against Danny Roberts. Not a lot of time to prepare here, but how do you prepare for a guy like that, especially on short notice like this?
Well, honestly, I am the luckiest person in the world because I have guys that are way better at that I train with all the time. We have the best capoeira guys in the world. The Hache Capoeira family, they live in Vancouver. Like the Grandmaster's kids live in Vancouver. Marcus Aurelio, or Lalo as we call him, the original double, viral spinning wheel kick knockout, the double spin wheel kick in the ring and just killed the guy pretty much.
Yeah.
I've been training with that guy for years, and he's not the best one. His brother's better. Another kid, Radley's even better than that. They've been flipping, jumping, and spinning at me for years. And they all tell me, dude, you're the hardest guy for us to spar. You're so good at dealing with all our shit, and you don't fall for our tricks. And I tire them out, and I beat them up. They usually, they spin at me, and they miss, they block, I just let them work, and I keep on them. Eventually they slow down, and I start to beat them up. It's just, so the same thing's going to happen with this guy. I honestly don't think he's as good as them, and I think he's a quitter. I've watched, he's had a minute and a half in the UFC. Everyone's got all this hype, and don't get me wrong, he looked awesome. I'm a fan. I hope after I whoop his ass, he won't hold a grudge, and, he'll take a picture of me and give me his autograph, because obviously I'm a fighter. We all love that shit. But at the end of the day, it's a fight. He's practicing front flips. I'm practicing punching people in the face. Being able to do backflips is what it took to be a fighter. I'd fucking practice backflips, but it's not, so I don't.
Opponent aside, time frame aside, is this as ideal as it gets for you? I mean, fighting in Vancouver, very familiar territory. You have a teammate in Cole Smith on the card. I mean, this is pretty cool, right? You're not traveling to China or Brazil. You get this fight in your backyard.
It's good and it's bad. The good is, it's my own town. I get to do all that. That's great. I've been on the road fighting mostly for the last years. Almost all my fights, there's a reason I'm ranked number one outside of the UFC in Canada. It's you guys are 8-0, 9-0, 10-1, then I'm ranked above all of them for some reason. Because they're fighting guys, you look at their opponent's win ratio, it's they have maybe 20 wins and 50 losses. My last 9 opponents ratio is 270 or something. It's a 60% win ratio with way more fights than any of these guys, and I finished all of them. I keep getting brought in as the out of town guy to lose to their guy, and I keep finishing them. So that's what I think is going to be the difference that separate me going back to Canada. Sorry, kind of diverted there, but
it's all good.
So that it is kind of nice to get to be able to fight in my hometown in front of my friends. Fighting the same card of Cole, honestly, not the best, because I want to be in his corner. He wants to be in my corner. We're main training partners, and we're always in each other's corner. So we're both losing one of our favorite cornermen. So we've told them, after this, we don't fight in the same card. Always different cards. So, there's good and bad, but obviously I would have, if they asked me to fight at heavyweight on 2 days' notice, I would do it. So the UFC calls, you answer.
How are you enjoying this process, the fight week experience so far? Is it a little overwhelming, or are you just sort of taking it all in and enjoying every moment of it?
It's not that bad. I mean, I've seen it. I've been with Bibiano at one. I've been with Cole, Cole, the UFC before. I've always had, obviously not quite as much, but it's not that much really. Like the UFC is awesome. They're taking great, like all my meals, like there's a lot of stuff that's way easier that I don't have to deal with. Going in and doing a couple of interviews and taking some pictures, it's not really very hard for me. I don't know. I don't think that takes much out of me. Keeps my mind occupied and, keeps me busy.
I'm not a fighter, so I can't speak to this, but getting the shot against a guy that the UFC seems to be building up, do you feel like there's a lot less pressure on you? I mean, I talk to fighters all the time in these situations. They feel like the pressure is all on the opponent, the heavy favorite, so to speak. Do you feel the same way with this fight? Like, of course you want to win,
Absolutely.
but is it a little more freeing being in this type of situation?
For sure. Like, people are always like, are you nervous or something? I'm like, no, not really at all. Like, I know, I'll be way more nervous for my next one. Like, whatever happens in this fight, the next one I'm fighting at my weight class where I have a camp to prepare, where they're going to give me an opponent that's also, newer to the UFC. Well, I guess Michel is too, but he's got all his hype. There's no pressure on me. Like I said, I'm expected to go in there and lose. That's what everyone's expecting. So if that happens, whatever. My stock still goes up, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to beat him. And when I do, he likes to throw rolling thunder. Well, I'm going to steal his thunder.
Is that you kind of touched on it? Is the key to victory here just sort of weather that storm, steal that momentum from him, take him into deep waters? He's probably going to come out and do something crazy here. Is that what you see here? How do you see this fight playing out in its entirety?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what you just said. I think he's going to want to make a statement because I'm a smaller guy coming in late, short notice. I think he's going to want to just come at me and, front flip at me, do all crazy shit right off the hop. He's going to use a lot of energy real quick. And I know people that, like, he looks bigger than he is. And I know guys like that look like they all look the part of all the muscle. But then when you kind of like push them around, it's like, no, they're not really that heavy. Like, yeah, sure, they're strong. You feel like the contractual force of their muscles is strong, but it doesn't have that weight behind it. And guys like that, I find they break their bones a lot. So I think if he hits me, I think he might break his hand. And if he breaks his hand, well, then he's going to be even more hesitant. All he's going to have is kicks at that point. I have not been impressed by any of the grappling I've seen in this fight. I've been like, this is a black belt jiu-jitsu. Like, I know blue belts that are way better than that. Like, I don't know I've never seen him attack one submission, one transition. He's got a few guillotine chokes, but any meathead can fucking do a guillotine choke,
You've been in this game for a while. Your name's been brought up a couple of times in terms of getting in the UFC. This is something you expected. This is something you visualized. Now that it's here, now that the pen went to paper, you're getting ready for your first UFC fight. What does it all mean to you now? Now that you're here, what does it all mean to you now?
I say I could have been a surgeon, but I decided to fight. I feel like now I'm just stepping out of med school. It's time to go to work.
Very exciting stuff, Tristan. Congratulations on the call and in getting this opportunity against Michel Pereira on the main card Saturday. Main card, by the way, hell of a main event on the top of it, too. Main card, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on you, so you're going to kind of set the table for this main event between Gaethje and Cerrone. Who do you like in that fight?
Oh, man, I'm such a fan of both of them. It's funny you say, obviously Cowboy, I think Cowboy's pretty much everyone's favorite fighter. He's just the man. And actually, my gym's 10 minutes from the hotel, so I invited him out to come use our sauna because it's 24 hours. I can get him into it. So super excited to have Cowboy, and he's just so good. And Gaethje, though, I've been a fan of Gaethje since way before he's in the UFC. When Jeremy Kennedy first got signed, he went down into the PI. It was right before Justin fought Michael. Sorry, one sec. People are calling me like crazy here.
Sorry.
So I saw right before he fought Michael Johnson, and I see there's all these UFC fighters. Everyone's like, oh yeah. I'm like, whatever, And I see Justin Gaethje come in, and he's the first one that I was starstruck by, and people are like, who's that? I'm like, you guys don't know. Oh my God! Like, you just wait. And of course, the rest is history. So I love the fight so much, and yeah, fuck.
Did you go up?
Can't wait to be able to watch it from the green room.
I know you're a little starstruck. Did you go up and have a conversation with Justin that day, or? We just kind of leave him be.
No, he was cut. It was like 2 days before weigh-in, so I didn't want to bug him. He looked a little cranky. I was in the change room, and he like in his underwear.
Yeah, touche. Appreciate the time, Tristan, especially on Fight Week. Before we let you go, let the folks know where they can follow along this journey with you via social media. Any shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest, man? The floor is yours.
Yeah, MMA Tristan on Instagram. My Facebook's just my name, Tristan Connelly. Twitter MMA Tristan too, but I never use it. And shout out. I got my gym, Checkmat Vancouver, here in Vancouver, and one of my sponsors is Richmond Sports Rehab. A friend of mine's construction company, RG Contracting, has sponsored me too. And I always thank my wife, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here.
Smart man. I should thank my wife after all these interviews. But thank you, Tristan. All the best to you the rest of this week and on Saturday. Appreciate the time.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.